You know, sometimes I come across a story that's so unbelievable, I have to double-check if I'm reading fiction or history. This is one of those stories. Picture this. It's 1968, and somewhere deep in the Pacific Ocean, a Soviet submarine just vanished. Gone. Like it never existed. The Russians are frantically searching everywhere, but they've got nothing. Meanwhile, halfway around the world, some guy in a darkened room at the CIA is probably sipping his coffee and thinking, what if we could steal that thing? And that's exactly what they did. Let me paint you a picture of March 8th, 1968. The Soviet submarine K-129 slides out of port like it's done 100 times before. Routine patrol, nothing special. The crew probably grabbed their last hot meal, maybe wrote letters home they'd never send. Then silence. Not the kind of silence where your phone goes dead. The kind where 98 men and their 4,000-ton submarine just disappear into the vast Pacific like they were never there at all. Back in Moscow, you can imagine the panic. Admirals are pacing, phones are ringing off the hook, and search teams are scrambling to cover an area the size of Texas. They're throwing everything they have at this, ships, planes, submarines, desperately hoping to find some trace of their missing boat. But here's the thing that gives me chills. Thousands of miles away, American technicians are sitting in front of their classified listening equipment, and they heard it happen. They heard K-129 die. The U.S. had this incredible underwater surveillance network called SOSUS, basically microphones on the ocean floor that could pick up sounds from incredible distances. And on that March day, they caught something horrifying, the sound of a submarine imploding under crushing pressure. That deep, thunderous groan that means 98 people just died in an instant. The Americans didn't just know K-129 was gone, they knew exactly where it was. 3 miles down, in water so deep that the pressure would crush a human body in milliseconds. Now you might be wondering, why would anyone care about a sunken submarine? Well, imagine you're playing the ultimate high-stakes poker game, and your opponent accidentally drops their cards face up on the floor. That's essentially what happened here. K-129 wasn't just any submarine, it was a nuclear-armed Soviet sub, potentially carrying launch codes, missile technology, communication equipment, and who knows what else. In the Cold War, that kind of intelligence could mean the difference between peace and nuclear annihilation. So some brilliant or completely insane person at the CIA looked at this impossible situation and said, you know what? Let's go get it. Keep in mind, this was 1968. Nobody had ever attempted to recover anything from that depth. The technology barely existed. It was like someone in the Wright brothers era deciding they wanted to go to the moon. The CIA had a problem. How do you hide the most ambitious salvage operation in human history? Their solution was pure genius. They decided to hide in plain sight. Enter Howard Hughes, the ultimate wild card. This guy was already known for crazy projects, bottomless pockets, and secrecy that made the CIA look chatty. If Hughes announced he was going to mine the ocean floor, people would just shrug and think, yep, that's Howard being Howard. So they created this beautiful cover story. Hughes was going to harvest manganese nodules from the deep sea. These are basically metal-rich lumps that sit on the ocean floor like potatoes in a field. Boring enough that most people wouldn't ask questions, valuable enough to justify the expense. But what they were really building was something out of science fiction. The Hughes Glomar Explorer wasn't just a ship, it was a floating miracle of engineering. Picture a vessel over 600 feet long with a massive hole in the middle that could open to the ocean below. Like someone took a regular ship and decided to put an elevator shaft right through its heart. Hanging beneath this ship was something that still boggles my mind. A giant mechanical claw designed to reach down 3 miles, grab a broken submarine, and lift it back to the surface. The whole system had to work in perfect coordination while dealing with ocean currents, weather, and the crushing pressure of the deep sea. Most of the people building this thing had no idea what they were really creating. They thought they were working on another eccentric Hughes project. Only a handful of people knew they were building the world's most expensive fishing hook. Summer 1974. The Glomar Explorer heads out into the Pacific, supposedly to mine the ocean floor. On board are CIA agents pretending to be geologists, engineers sweating over equipment that's never been tested at this scale, and crew members who think they're about to make history in deep-sea mining. They reach the coordinates where K-129 lies broken and dark. 3 miles down, in a world where the sun has never shone and the pressure could flatten a car like a pancake. The operation begins. That massive claw starts its journey into the abyss, down, 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 through layers of water so deep that if you dropped the Empire State Building, it would disappear completely before hitting the seafloor. Hours pass. The tension on that ship must have been unbearable. Imagine being part of the most audacious theft in history, knowing that one small mistake could destroy everything. Finally, the claw reaches its target. Guided by sonar and sheer determination, it opens its massive arms and embraces the broken submarine. Then comes the lift. Slowly, carefully, they begin raising their prize. For hours, everything goes according to plan. Success seems within reach. And then disaster strikes. I get emotional thinking about this next part. As they're lifting K-129, the submarine breaks apart. Half of it, the half they desperately wanted, slips away and tumbles back into the darkness, lost forever. But they still managed to recover a section of the sub. Inside were pieces of Soviet technology, equipment that intelligence analysts would spend years studying. And something else, the bodies of several Soviet sailors, preserved in their underwater tomb. Here's what gets me about this story. In the middle of the Cold War, when Americans and Soviets were pointing nuclear weapons at each other, the CIA made a remarkable decision. They treated those Soviet sailors with dignity and respect. They wrapped the bodies in the Soviet flag. They conducted a proper burial at sea. Someone played taps while cameras rolled and hardened CIA operatives stood at attention. In a world of secrets and suspicion, it was a moment of pure humanity. Those were someone's sons, husbands, fathers. And even in the midst of the ultimate spy operation, the Americans remembered that. For a while, Project Azorian remained perfectly secret. The CIA locked everything away, classified it at the highest levels, and hoped the world would never know. But secrets have a way of leaking out, especially secrets this big. In 1975, the Los Angeles Times got wind of something unusual about Howard Hughes and his mining operation. Reporters started asking uncomfortable questions. Backed into a corner, the CIA gave birth to one of the most famous phrases in government secrecy: "We can neither confirm nor deny the existence of such a project." That line, now known as the Glomar response, is still used by government agencies today when they want to neither admit nor deny something. It's become part of our language, born from this incredible operation. So what did this audacious mission actually accomplish? That's still largely classified. We know they recovered part of the submarine, some technology, and those sailors' remains. But what intelligence they gained, how it affected the Cold War, what advantages it gave America, most of that is still locked away in government vaults. What we do know is the price tag, over $800 million in 1970s money. In today's dollars, that's more than $4 billion to steal part of a sunken submarine. Was it worth it? Honestly, we may never know the full answer to that question. Project Azorian proved something both impressive and terrifying. There's nowhere on Earth so remote, so deep, or so protected that human ingenuity can't find a way to reach it. If something exists, someone will figure out how to get to it. But it also raises questions we're still grappling with today. In our connected world of satellites and surveillance, of cyber espionage and digital warfare, how far should nations go to gain an advantage? What's the cost of always needing to know more than your enemies? The Hughes Glomar Explorer was eventually scrapped, but its legacy lives on. Every time a government official gives you the Glomar response, every time someone attempts the impossible in the name of national security, every time we push the boundaries of what technology can accomplish, we're seeing echoes of this incredible mission. You know what fascinates me most about Project Azorian? It's that we're still learning about it. Decades later, documents are still being declassified, details are still emerging, and historians are still trying to piece together the full picture. It's a reminder that history isn't just about the past. It's about stories that continue to unfold, secrets that eventually see the light, and human ambition that refuses to accept the word impossible. Sometimes the most incredible stories are the ones that actually happened. Sometimes truth really is stranger than fiction. And sometimes, just sometimes, a small group of determined people can reach into the deepest, darkest places on Earth and pull up something extraordinary. Even if half of it slips away back into the abyss. What other impossible stories from history fascinate you? What boundaries do you think we'll push next?